My experience in Islam began as a graduate student in New York City. Up to that point in my life, for 25 years, I had been a Protestant Christian, but had not been practicing my religion for quite some time. I was more interested in spirituality and looking for anything that didn't have to do with organized religion. To me, Christianity was out of touch and not relevant to the times. It was hard for me to find anything in it that I could apply to my everyday life. While in graduate school, I had a Jewish roommate who was a student of the martial arts. While I was living with him, he was studying an art called Salat, a traditional Malaysian martial art that is based on the teachings of Islam. When my roommate would come home from his Silat classes, he would tell me all about the uniqueness of Silat and its rich spiritual dimension. As I was quite interested in learning martial arts at the time, I was intrigued by what I had heard and decided to accompany my roommate to class one Saturday morning. Although I did not realize that at the time, my experience in Islam was beginning that morning at my first Salat class in New York City. There I met my teacher, the man who would first orient me to the religion of Islam. Although I thought I was beginning a career as a martial artist, that day actually represented my first step toward becoming Muslim. From the very beginning, I was intrigued by Salat and Islam and began spending as much time as possible with my teacher. As my roommate and I were equally passionate about Salat, we would go to my teacher's house and soak up as much knowledge as we could from him. In fact, upon our completing graduate school in the spring of 1998, upon his invitation, we spent the entire summer living with him and his wife. As my learning in Salat increased, so did my learning about Islam, a religion that I had hardly any knowledge of prior to my experience in Salat. What made my orientation to Islam so powerful was that as I was learning about it, I was also living it. Because I studied at the home of my teacher, being in the presence of devout Muslims allowed me to be constantly surrounded by the sounds, sights, and practices of Islam. For as Islam is an entire lifestyle, when you are in an Islamic environment, you cannot separate it out from everyday life. Unlike Christianity, which lends toward a separation between daily life and religion, Islam requires its followers to integrate worship of Allah into everything we do. Thus, in living with my teacher, I was immersed in the Islamic deen and experiencing firsthand how it can shape one's entire way of life. It was also very foreign in many ways, and the amount of discipline it requires was difficult to understand. At the time, I was liberal in many ways, and was used to shunning anything dogmatic or imposed, regardless of where it came from. As time went on, however, and my understanding of Islam grew, I began to slowly see that what seemed to be religious dogma was really a lifestyle put forth to us by our Creator. This lifestyle, I would later learn, is the straight path to true contentment, not just the sensual and superficial way of life that my society and culture promote. I realized that the question is quite simple actually. Who could possibly know better what the best way of life is for human beings than the all-wise Creator? From that first Salat class in New York City to the day I took my Shahada, July 30th, 1999, I had undergone a thorough self-examination that was comprised of two major processes. One was to question the culture of the society I was brought up in, and the second was to question the role I wanted religion to play in my everyday life. As for my culture, this one was not as difficult as most people would think. Being a social scientist by trade, much of my professional time is spent trying to address the social ills of our society. As I learned more about Islam, I came to the conclusion that many societal ills are based on unhealthy social behavior. Since Islam is a lifestyle focused totally on the most healthy, positive way of conducting our lives in every setting, then it is, and will always be, the only real answer to any society's social dilemmas. With this realization, not only did I decide that Islam was relevant to my everyday life, but I began to understand why it is so different from other religions. Only Islam provides knowledge and guidance for every aspect of life. Only Islam provides a way to achieve health and happiness in every dimension of life: physical, spiritual, mental, financial, etc. Only Islam provides us with a clear life goal and purpose. And only Islam shows us the proper way to live in and contribute to a community. Islam is what everyone needs and what so many who have not found it yet are searching for. It is the path to purpose, meaning, health, and happiness. This is because it is the straight path to the source of truth and real power, Allah. It was only until I actually became Muslim that I realized just how encompassing the Islamic lifestyle is. Literally everything we do has one underlying purpose: to remember Allah. The lifestyle provides us with the way, not just the understanding, but an actual method of constantly remembering our Creator in as simple an act as greeting someone, or getting dressed in the morning, or waking up from sleep. Islam shows us that by remembering Allah, everything we do becomes focused on Him, and thus becomes an act of worship. From this, our energy, thoughts, and our actions all become redirected away from unhealthy and useless causes and focused on the source of all goodness. Thus, we are continuously tapping into His divine strength, mercy, and grace. So, by remembering Allah constantly, we become stronger and healthier in every aspect of our lives and not distracted by self-defeating thoughts and behaviors. There still remain some minor aspects of Islam that have proven to be somewhat difficult adjustments for me. Nevertheless, I thank Allah every day for the ease to which He has allowed me to make the necessary changes in my life so that I can continue to live in America and still be a good Muslim.